Hey guys, it's Lauren. I hope you guys are having a good evening. Um, I am for the most part. Today I thought I'd talk a little bit about something different, something I feel like I should say something about. Most of my videos on here are how to deal with Asperger syndrome, but today I'm going to talk about my other stuff. I'm going to try to give like a as brief as possible way to describe my other problems and how they've been affected by Asperger's syndrome and vice versa, and how Asperger's syndrome affects them. Well, of course, most of you all know I've had Asperger's syndrome most of my life. I started having symptoms of it right around the typical age. Right now I'm 37 years old and will be 38 in next August. So at this time, I'm gonna be preparing for my 20-year high school reunion, and I may end up missing it. Hopefully, I don't, but because I'm going to a concert on June the 22nd, and hopefully it's not on that date. So about my other chronic issues, um, they started right around the same time my Asperger's syndrome started. Mm, I've had a few issues with my ears, and I've had to have surgery and on that part, but I don't really feel like it's been as big of a deal as what everything else is. I've had tubes and tonsillectomy and adenoidectomy and all that, and all the typical surgeries, wisdom teeth and all that. And I've had braces when I was a kid, but that's really not the main one. So, and I've had eardrum repair surgeries, but my biggest problem has been my chronic bladder stuff, my chronic joint pain, and my female pain, besides my Asperger's syndrome. And like a lot of other people in our area, yes, I do have allergies, and I take nose spray and all that for that. So my problems started around the same time that my Asperger's syndrome started, which was like when I was like around 3, something like that. And I started getting chronic urinary tract infections along with the typical sore throats and all that. So that led to a series of antibiotics and, this, that, and the other. And right around the same time, I started having symptoms of vulvodynia, which is like the chronic burning sensation you get in your vagina if you're a girl. And then it seemed like the chronic urinary tract infections, they continued. And I'm here to say that I want to make reference to this. I'm not afraid to talk about my personal health issues, and I really want to make it less taboo. And yes, I did grow up in church, but that doesn't mean that I'm not a Christian because I have this, because anybody of any age can get problems that I'm describing. So, in addition to urinary tract infections, I also discovered I had I got something wrong with my hip when I was right around 3. Like I just turned 3, I think, when I got this thing in my hip. They said it followed an upper respiratory tract infection. It's called transient synovitis. My mom took me to a doctor for it. That was, and it went away, and I kind of thought, oh, I'll be all right. Then I started school like when I was 5, and I told you all about my experiences in kindergarten and how I went to a series of doctors when I was in kindergarten for my Asperger's and my urinary tract infections. You can check on that in one of my previous videos. And if you want me to, I can always leave a link below. Then when I was in first grade, the synovitis decides it's going to come back again right in the spring. This time worse than ever because it landed me in our local hospital. And then it seemed like after that it kind of came back on and off. It seemed like it would constantly get flares of it. And let me tell you something, when it flares, oh my gosh, leave me alone. It was so frustrating to deal with. And when it does flare, yes, that's when my Asperger syndrome flares, and damn, I get meltdowns. Sorry for my language, but it's so frustrating to deal with leg pain. And after that, second incident, I told you it kept flaring up on me from time to time. Then it finally came, then I started getting symptoms of it again in 7th grade. I started my period when I was 11, and my periods were always uncomfortable. In my first period, I had excruciating abdominal pain to the point where it was nothing like what they had described in health class. It was more like, am I passing a kidney stone or is it my appendix? So the typical so that continued. Then this crazy joint pain continued on and on. So in 7th grade, about a few months after the joint pain started again, it was excruciating. My mom and my dad took me to this pediatric jerk face that pretty much found that nothing was wrong with me. He did a series of tests and was like, oh, there's nothing wrong with her. And he pretty much told my mom and dad that the pain was all in my head. And a bone scan that he did revealed that I had a cyst on my left ovary. And even though I was autistic and had problems, just something told me that when I was 12 years old, that cyst would be a symptom of a major problem. So, and from then on, I just got this strange gut feeling that I would never be able to have children if I got married. I didn't know what endometriosis was back then, but I knew something wasn't right. I didn't know what fibromyalgia was, but I knew that something was causing my joint pain. So then in 8th grade, I decided I was going to run track. I didn't have no problems with it. I done pretty good at track, and I knew I could have been a really good track star if I wanted to be. But then high school came along, and then a lot of my chronic pain just started coming back on me, slowly but surely. Then I had some back pain, and a lot of time during my senior year and my junior year, I would be running to the nurse's station and getting out of class crying because I was in pain of sorts mostly from my back. And then I graduated high school in 1999. I kind of thought, well, some of my pain problems were gone away. And then I wasn't happy with regular college life. I wanted to give something different for a try. So when I was 19, I enrolled in cosmetology school. Then 6 months after enrolling in cosmetology school, all of my old pain problems came back with a vengeance. And that was incredibly frustrating. And I felt, we've got to do something. We have to do something. Something's not right. So, well, when I was 19, I also went to another urologist about a couple of months into beauty school, and he ran a basic cysto on me, and he said that there was nothing wrong with my bladder. I'd been showing signs of um, interstitial cystitis, and because I had chronic urinary tract infections, and when I was 7, I had avoiding cystogram, and 2 years earlier, I had another test when I was 5. Both of those two tests pretty much came back normal. I just had chronic urinary tract infections along with the joint pain. So, I was in beauty school. I was feeling, not only was I having my Asperger's meltdowns, but I was also having excruciating leg pain again, and it was awful. And so, I graduate beauty school. I land a job for a little while, and I'm just knowing, well, something is not right. I believe there's honestly something that's causing me excruciating pain and urinary symptoms. So, about 2 or 3 years later, after I graduated beauty school, I was 22 years old. I finally decided to make my first actual OB-GYN appointment. My mom didn't agree with it because I wasn't sexually active, and I would have never, ever, ever done anything like that unless I was married, because we grew up in church, and I strongly believe in doing what the Bible says, and I wanted to be a Christian. So, anyway, I meet with my gynecologist for the first time. So, anyway, she really, really listens to me, and I went and described to her every symptom, every medical thing that I've ever had from birth until now. And I told her, about all the bladder problems and all this pain I've been having, and I get, and other stuff too. So she was like, so she thought maybe I might have, because the bladder thing was going on, she thought I might have had interstitial cystitis, and she sent me to various treatment options for that. And she also suspected I had endometriosis. So we were sent down a road of treatment for interstitial cystitis and endometriosis that was so I get referred to all kinds of treatments for interstitial cystitis. Take Elmeron. I hate that stuff. Then we were on Neurontin and then all that. And then she sent me to a urologist 4 years later, another urologist. And this urologist was actually pretty smart, and I see. So she just referred me to go to physical therapy, and I guess that done pretty good. That helps some. So, then, and that was in 2008 that I went to the urologist, and they referred me over to physical therapy, and I did that for a little while. So, then it got to the, and then I'm kind of flip-flopping around, I know, but I'm trying to be as discreet as possible and descriptive as possible with all of my other illnesses. So, chronic pain was just rearing its ugly head on me comes 2006, and I was in my early 20s, and most people don't even worry about nothing at that age, but I'm worrying, how am I even going to be able to survive this pain? So, my family doctor at the time tests me for everything. He does a test to see if I have multiple sclerosis. So I don't have multiple sclerosis because we ruled that out with an MRI. Then, 2 years or 3 years later, we decide that it's time to go in. So my gynecologist wants to do more invasive testing for me to see what's going on, what's causing my joint pain and all the other pain I've been having. So she doesn't do surgery because she'd already quit long doing surgery. So she refers me to someone to to do a laparoscopic surgery to check me for endometriosis. Lo and behold, I had that. I knew with all my heart when I was a young kid that I had something wrong with my female parts, because otherwise I would have never had a cyst on me. So, we get so I start on a treatment for endometriosis. I start on Lupron. Oh my gosh, girls, do not start that evil medicine. It's evil. So and then I had to have another surgery to get it burned off again. And then after that surgery, I got put on Addiston, which is a form of progesterone. It didn't bother me too bad, but it honestly did not help me anything with my chronic joint pain. I was at the point where I'm like, something has got to be done. I want to know, and I want to know an answer. So and then my family doctor retires, so daggone it. So here I am left with another doctor. So I go to my new family doctor. She's just a PA. So she tested me for rheumatoid arthritis and lupus and does an EMG. All those are perfectly clear. So at that point, I'm like, I want to see someone that specializes in endometriosis. So I went to an endometriosis surgeon. I did, and I'm still having this excruciating joint pain. But I done some research on my own, and my new family doctor comes up to the point where she just thinks that my excruciating joint pain is from fibromyalgia. I took medicine for it, for my chronic joint pain, and honestly, it did absolutely nothing. But it could have been also aggravated from exercising, because I've always been an exercise enthusiast and an extreme health enthusiast. So anyway, after constant begging, I finally get into an endometriosis specialty surgeon, because I did not want to have a hysterectomy with a doctor in our area because they don't do the excision, and they're not trained to repair the other organs that were damaged by severe endometriosis. So I go to this excision specialist, and he does, the thing on me. So I go to the hospital. So I go to have the surgery, and I'm asking, what if I want to get married? I want to be able to have children if I get married. So that's why I went to this doctor. Plus, I was concerned about my other health problems. And I'd done some research about a hysterectomy. And how it can cause symptoms like urinary incontinence, or aggravated if you already have it, which I had IC symptoms. So, and my bladder is perfectly normal, because I had that ruled out by urologist, and I had that, and also found it ruled out that I had a decent looking bladder when I had my first surgery. So I just decided I wasn't going to worry about having that. So my joint pain is like the big issue, but I still have the bladder pain too. So I go to the University of Louisville for Dr. Pasek, and he does my surgery. So it ended up being a 6-hour surgery. So I had my surgery on May the 22nd of 2017, so it's been like a year and a half now since I had my surgery, and I'm very thankful that I've had it done. Trust me, girls, I still have joint pain to this day, but it's been significantly better. I'm not trying to say that the endometriosis caused it or didn't cause it. I'm still thankful that I went to see Dr. Pasek when I did, because he found something that no one else did. Even though I wasn't going to be able to have children, he found something that no one else did. He said that it was looping my bowel, and round it and like literally pushing it out of place. And he said it was definitely one of the worst cases of endometriosis that he had ever seen, and it was a very complicated case, and that's why it took so long to do the surgery. And one of his residents came in my room the next morning to check on me when she was doing her rounds, and she said that it was definitely the worst case that she had ever seen since she's been taking her training for like 2 years. And she told me that my one it could have been one of the problems, that one of the reasons that I'd been having such severe joint pain was that my left ovary was like so big and it was wedged against the muscle in my hip. So that said a lot, but no, trust me, girls. Like I said, I still have that. And then I went back for my follow up 6 weeks later, and he said that it was pretty severe. And he said he hoped I was feeling better. And then he gave me the report of the surgery, and it said not only did I have a severe case of endometriosis, but he also said that, but the report also said that I had something called adenomyosis, and another report that I had before I had this surgery done said that I had something really weird about the shape of my uterus. So, and not only did I have that problem, but also the pathology report also showed that I had a cyst in my right tube, and there was no way that I would be able to have children. So, and I will admit that endometriosis and interstitial cystitis also fall along the same thing when you're being born or whatever. And for interstitial cystitis, I think I'll talk differently about that, and I think I might go into detail like in a future video about some of my problems and more detail about it, but this one I'm trying to be as discreet and just whatever as possible and as brief as possible. I do want to say one thing. My mom and my parents have been there through me. They're thick and thin. They haven't always agreed with the choices that I've made since I became an adult to improve my health, but I'm very thankful for them because they've been there for me all along. And it wasn't always easy. It wasn't always easy on them, and it wasn't always easy on me. I'm sure that they've wanted to give up on me, but they haven't, and I'm very thankful for it. So, guys, if you have any questions about any of my health history, about any of the doctors I've seen, please do so. I am very thankful for a lot of for my previous family doctor. He was an amazing doctor, and he got me all the help that I needed. And it was my mom actually worked with him at her hospital because she was a nurse, and that's how he got to be our doctor. And I'm very thankful for my gynecologist because she really took the time to listen too. And if it hadn't been for her, my parents, then I wouldn't have got to where I am today. I still have pain, but knock on wood, my pain has been a lot better. And I'm starting to think that the one of the reasons that I thought it might have been the hip problem that I had when I was little, that hasn't gone completely away, was because I'm thinking that it might have been like some kind of nerve thing, like where my nerves still think that there's something going on and they still send pain signals. Maybe like a mild form of reflex sympathetic dystrophy. But if that's what it is, I will never. I mean, I've always pushed myself to get through things, so. And also, I have at times been looked at as if I'm making things up. And I don't think that if I were neurotypical that I would have been treated like that. Or if it would have been something more common and simple like a sore throat or whatever. I don't think a lot of my teachers and a lot of my a lot of the kids my age kind of thought I was making things up if I were if I were to say anything like that. I know that teachers got annoyed with me for having to pee a lot. So, please, once again, let me add, if you have any questions about this, please leave me a comment, and please don't leave anything negative, please. And if you have any questions about my doctor that did the excision surgery, please message me, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. And I will admit, for anyone that has Kentucky Medicaid, Dr. Pasick at University of Louisville does take that, and Medicare. And I will have one thing to say about endometriosis. Girls, if you have that, please get to an excision specialist as soon as you can, because it may be, because if you don't, you won't be able to have children. I promise that. And had I seen Dr. Pasick when I was much younger, I believe that I would have been able to have children if I got married. Because you can have a surgery done by an excision specialist they can do excision, and you can have work on your uterus done and have it fixed to where you can have children if you have stage 4, if you have less than stage 4 endometriosis, or if you get treated ASAP. So, but you will need a hysterectomy if you have stage 4 endometriosis, and most definitely if you have adenomyosis, so, which I had that. So, girls, I hope you guys are listening. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. And I will probably talk more about these issues in a future video with my Asperger syndrome. So, sorry for the long post, but that's what it took to describe everything. And thank you. And I'm also, I really was, whatever. At times, I really was told that, I really was given the idea that things were in my head. And I will be honest, I really was. So, thank you. Have y'all a good night, and thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hope y'all subscribe. So, love y'all. Bye.